Westworld, Eastworld, Indian World, New World. What sort of game do you want to play?
Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing.
Virtual Fortuna, Episode 3, Season 2 of Westworld. And we already learned at the end of last year that there was some sort of samurai feudal world. But now we get to see a big game hunting Indian expedition world, and I'm more and more worried. How big is this park? How many worlds can they have in this park? And how fucked up can things be in these parks? By the way, all the warnings, because lots of gunfire, sexuality, and all sorts of every other type of messed up thing, including nameless, faceless minions to be afraid of. The story of Westworld has gotten far more complicated each episode, and I love it. Alright, so just to let you know what I do here. I review TV shows, movies, books, comic books, stories in general, and then I come up with theory videos, how and why we tell them. This month I'm actually kicking off changing that format around a little bit so that I'm only doing 2 videos a month on the how and why, but we'll get into that more later. For now, if you're interested in learning what's going on with Westworld from a writer's point of view, from a storyteller's point of view, click that subscribe button and join us as we're going to talk about what it means to go for a walk in the park, or parks, as the story may be. But for now, let's throw up the spoiler alert.
So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time.
And we've gotten lots of terror. We've gotten lots of craziness. We've even gotten psychological body horror when we realize that someone isn't who we thought they were. But in tonight's episode, almost right off the bat, we start off with something truly terrifying. What do you do when you're in the park and you realize those people were guests? They came in on the train with me. That means that the hosts can kill us. That the weapons no longer are just stun. They're friggin' deadly. And once again, we get violent delights have violent ends. Exactly what Delos was getting at, exactly what they have access to, has just gone into overdrive. I mean, I guess we've seen that tiger before, too. We've seen them make these things, these animals. And the idea of just how far they could push this idea. I mean, you don't have to go to the Wild West to do something that you've always wanted to do. You could go to the West Indies. You could go and explore the concept of what it means to not have to worry about the rules of life, of society, which, as we talked about last week, was all about psychological experimentation. And that's really where we still are. But we're in a much crazier place now. Because now we're at a crux of a story. And stories are intermixing with each other. Whole worlds are. Samurai world, Eastern India world, all of that mixing with Westworld. And part of this makes me wonder how many people are being affected by this, and how many people could afford to come here. We know good old Bill is a billionaire because he's the owner of the company, and he can come here whenever. But I want you to think about the other guests. How many guests they must have that they're using as their source points. And I'm still not sure what's going on with Bernard. I'm really not. Are there two Bernards, or is this another time frame jump? Because now we see the one that I would classify as the first Bernard having the handshake that the second Bernard had. So I just don't know. And then on top of that, we have everything that happened with Dolores and the plan to use the military force, which I don't really get. I mean, is there a reason why she couldn't have let them into the base? Is there a reason why they were necessarily had to die for this to work? I mean, it was a good plan. As good as any plan can be when you're using cannons and uh, flintlocks and Winchester repeaters against P90s. But at the end of the day, the idea of using the explosives is probably a pretty good one, and luring them in. Of course, the problem is that she's just recently had a reunion with her father. And for all the talk about these guys just being computers, she really feels it, doesn't she? Really hits her. That's her father, as far as she's concerned. even though realistically her father is Bernard or one of the other creators. And I remember the fact that those bodies of water separate all of the worlds. So I wonder how the Shogun world possibly did enter here. And I did love the fact that they used a similar tactic of drawing in someone that thought that they were getting the advantage that Dolores had used earlier. Now, Dolores used a retreat, they used the fire and allowed people to come in, but then they're going to fight swords against guns. That's not going to end well. And we've already seen that at least some of these characters are going to survive making it into that world and learn to fight with those swords. And it was really nice to see these two again. I have to say, we didn't get a lot of characterization of Felix tonight, but I remember in season 1 he was a personal favorite, so 2 thumbs up for bringing them back, even if I'm still not fully grasping what the trick is this year. All of this is all about psychology and what's going on, and of course, we get a lot of Terminatorism because, well, we see what happens when you shoot Dolores. Dolores knows it's just a game. And what happens once you know it's a dream? Well, you're not quite as afraid of things anymore. I mean, she still took physical damage. Her body is still not 100%. But I don't know if that really matters at this point. I also have to say, when the writer was captured and was talking about how you're not really in love with her, you were written a subroutine, that also kind of made me feel a little bit like, because then you have to remember that good old Dolores is pulling someone's heartstrings too, who was written to love her, written to do whatever she said. And when he let them go, I don't know, I think there's even more to Westworld than meets the eye. But at least that's what I think. What do you think? And what did you think of tonight's episode? Was it crazy and mind-boggling? Are you picking up on the fact that where the time jumps are? And what do you think? And of course, like and share this video, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. I'd love to open a full dialogue with you. So leave your comments down below, and as you do, I'm going to try to respond to them in kind. For now, I hope you have a good night, and thank you for walking with me through the heart of the stories we tell.